Welcome to The Wine Down, an afternoon podcast where two techie blokes sit down over a bowl of wine and chat about what's happening in the world of tech. Enjoy while Scott and Nick open up about their week in technology.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to The Wine Down. I'm Nick and I'm here with
Scott.
And I'm really here with Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello, Nick. How are you going?
Very good indeed. I'm very good indeed. Now, we're in a very special place today.
We're
in a pub.
Yes, I remember these.
It's been a while.
People used to go there and socialise.
They did, and we're doing it again. So,
we are indeed.
So where are we? What are we drinking?
Well, we're back at the Firehouse for this time round and seeing what's new on the wine list. And this week we've got a little bottle called the Lindsay Collection. It's a 2018 Barossa Shiraz. And, it's... It lives up to its description. It says it's a crimson hue, and I can tell you it is actually red in colour.
It is red, yes.
And, look, I don't know how to describe this yet.
Oh, pub wine.
Pub wine, yeah. that sums it up pretty well. Okay.
Cool. So today, first of a two-part series, CompTIA came out with a recent document. Which one was it?
It's the 2022 Outlook. And just for those that don't know who CompTIA is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I get to say this.
Yes,
so CompTIA is the Computing Trade Industry Association, globally the largest trade industry association for the IT industry, with members in every country in the world and an ANZ community as well, which is about 5 years old, and I was the founder chair of that.
You were indeed.
There we go,
yes.
There we go. So let's talk about what CompTIA is saying. So obviously this is how they see the IT channel moving.
It is. So look, every year they come out with some, I guess, predictions or some thoughts around where everything's heading. This was interesting. In some sort of, that's pretty obvious, and some, that's an interesting thought. I wonder how they come up with that. But I mean, I guess when you look back at what's been happening in the last sort of couple of years, everybody's been fairly tactical about their business operations. There's not a lot of businesses that were around sort of beforehand going, we're going to do massive investments during this time because we can see how this is going to play out, and et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's fairly cautious and just working on, hey, how do we just make sure that we're doing everything we need to do, stay around, everyone gets paid, et cetera, and just work out how do we get to the tail end of it. Well, now that we're sort of at that point, business optimism seems to be increasing.
Well, that's good. It's been funky over the last couple of years. So
it has been very interesting indeed.
Customer land and IT providers. It's been a weird bit of the world.
It has been.
But it's led to some really interesting, thought ideas and experiments. In that, if we go back, 5-10 years. The workplace was this soggy inside with this hard outside and I mean that from a firewalling point of view.
Yes, you're right.
But from a technology point of view, we had stuff inside the network and you went to work and that's all changed.
It has. There's a lot of technology changes that the whole last couple of years has really pushed forward quite quickly. And you're right. We have this concept of a remote worker now that previously could just go work from home. But now it's hang on, I actually want to work from home. I don't want to come to the office. And we're seeing a lot of business owners and just other people that we know and talk to saying, how do I get my staff back in the office? They don't want to come back. What am I doing? It's, well, hang on, maybe you don't need to. Are you just as productive with them where it is? And maybe they only need to be there part-time.
My team don't want to come into the office at all because they're a development team. They're more productive not being there.
And look, realistically, if I don't have to pay office space for people that don't want to be there, hey, that's great. I will say though that prior to all of this going on, our floor was full of businesses, and now it's about 2/3 empty.
Yes, it is interesting.
Which is interesting, and I know that just looking at when I go to stopping at clients and various things, I'm seeing a lot of empty desks around the place.
It is interesting, isn't it? People are only coming in 1, 2, 3 days a week, if they're coming in at all now.
Well, that's it. And the whole concept of where travel was coming from, they're sort of saying, hey, we don't really want to do that, lose that time from travel every day. It doesn't actually buy us anything.
Well, I did that today. I came into the office today. I've wasted 2 hours of my day when I could have been productive.
Well, I listen to podcasts, so I actually got 2 hours of my day back to actually listen to a podcast. But
Good point. But you're listening to our podcast and you already knew what was in it.
oh, quality control. There you go. Okay, so that was one thing about it's no longer as easy just to put a box around your workplace.
Of course.
And that does also raise the issue with IT that used to be able to protect what was just inside the business.
Yep.
And now the business is, well, everywhere. We'll come back to that one in a little bit, though.
Sure.
We've also said, and this is a report that came in from McKinsey globally, just saying that digitisation has really changed the way supply chains work, customer relations work, and the way businesses operate in general. And it's really pushed forward. They're saying about 3 to 4 years of sort of outlook and growth of what people were saying over the next 3 to 4 years. We'll go and do this, and this to improve our business in line with digital means. That's all here now.
Wow. So all that digital disruption, that digitising my business, the businesses who've got ahead have done it now.
They have, and it's really put a lot of focus in those particular areas, perhaps at the loss of other areas.
Sure.
But these are driving some very interesting changes in the way businesses work. Anyway, what else have we got here? Second one, changes in business travel are driving innovation.
That's an interesting concept. So let's just replay that again. So changes in business travel are driving innovation.
That's right.
So because people do different business travel now, there's innovation, really?
So here's the thing. With everybody basically becoming Teams and Zoom people over the last couple of years,
yep.
There's two sort of fields of view here. One is the traditional business leaders have been saying, we want to get people back face-to-face because we understand that when they're networking and in that sort of social style interaction, a lot more gets done and things just happen and conversations take place that wouldn't naturally take place over a remote connection conversation. So, and because of that drives innovation. Therefore, we can become more productive. Therefore, we can go and deliver more and so forth. So they want to get people together and socialising and interacting at a one-to-one personal level or even one-to-group personal level. That's the business owner or the business executive sort of level. The younger generation that is sort of, that's all they know, the online bit, saying, well, we don't need that. We're very comfortable with this, online, be in there, efficient. I've done my bit. Now I can go off and do whatever else I need to do. I don't see what value it's going to be if I have to travel somewhere, if I have to physically meet people. You want me to go on a plane to a conference and stay away just to be able to talk to someone? What is this? Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and it's funny. I certainly noticed this a lot in the open source community, which, being a Microsoftie, we're playing more and more and more in, is there's so much communication that happens over things like Discord and other things like that level of communication is actually, I think, in a way better than what we had before, because we've expanded our networks outside of the business to all sorts of other people. So innovation happens a lot better, at least in the architecture and development areas.
For those that are used to using that as a method of...
you have to get used to using it as well.
Oh, yes. Right? Oh, yes. Okay, so that's interesting. I wonder what will win out of that.
No idea.
I think there is going to be a change in the number of those sort of general, let's all jump on a plane and go have a weekend away for a rah-rah session or something like that.
There'll be a bit of that, hey? Still, go on, please.
I'm sure there will be. It serves a number of purposes.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else have we got? The impact of regulation goes beyond laws.
Now, this is interesting. So we've always said that legislation isn't keeping up with technology. And we've seen this in cryptocurrency. We've seen this in data encryption. We've seen it in all sorts of areas where the legislation is behind the technology, right? So what do they mean by this?
So this is sort of saying that you're right. The laws will appear one day. And even these days we're starting to see new antitrust suits for whatever it is. But the organisations the antitrust suits are going against it, this stuff's been around for 5-10 years already. How is it taking this long to get to the point of putting the lawsuits in place? And it does take that long for laws to take effect. It's as someone once said that just make sure you don't make an enemy of the government. They're very slow to react, but once they catch up with you,
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's and that's a really interesting point. You may think they're slow and they won't react, but they will. It might take them a decade, but they'll get
right.
you.
That's right. Eventually, it'll come along.
Yeah.
So that was that. And what it's saying is that there's issues today, things like privacy, for example, and who owns my data, and all this sort of thing. The laws are not in a position to really make good statements about that. In fact, there are no laws, and it's really the initial court cases that are starting to define that. So what's happening is the industry itself is starting to self-regulate via people are saying, no, I'm not going to use that service because I recognise that it hasn't got good privacy controls, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to migrate all my data off that platform because of this reason or that reason, and that starts to become a movement across the globe.
So does that mean as an industry we need to start self-regulating?
We sort of do already, but we do it very loosely.
Yep.
We've been out there just doing whatever happens to work, and then worrying about whatever the issues are later on.
So that's very much where I see, industry associations. We don't really have the equivalent of a chartered accountants association. We don't have the equivalent of that in our industry. Do you see that being something that might happen? I think maybe more in other geos than this one.
I don't know. This is a hard thing to sort of put a scope around, because as soon as you do that, you tend to stifle the speed of innovation.
Yep.
Because it becomes let's think about that, let's put some controls around it, let's just do a little bit and see what happens, let's let that go for a couple of years, and then, okay, that was okay, so now we can enhance it a bit, and that's not what happens in IT. IT is just, go full steam ahead, off you and see what happens.
Yes.
And if it fails, it fails.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, there we go, there's a new thing. And it generates new issues, which the rest of the world then has to keep up with and identify, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good point. We don't want to stop people inventing tech.
No.
Right? But we do want to make sure, I think it's like, we have a thing in Australian finance called the sophisticated investor, where unless you've got a certain amount of financial wherewithal, you can't invest in an early stage company.
Yes.
You go for your life investing on the stock market, that's regulated. But the early stage stuff we keep mums and pops away from. Maybe that's what they mean in tech, trying to protect people who don't understand the risks from taking them.
They have the same sort of thing in the US. I think it's a $50,000 entry point, at which point you become an accredited investor.
Yep.
And certain funds are not allowed to receive amounts below that.
Yes.
Just on the basis of they're not providing, or the people are unlikely to understand what's going on or have the experience or the knowledge needed.
For sure.
Okay. Another one. Tech budgets.
Oh, yeah. Growing? Shrinking?
So here's the thing. Traditionally, they have been shrinking. In reality, they've been growing. Now that I've confused you.
You have.
Because your traditional IT play used to be seen as a cost centre in the business. And this is not yesterday, but this is in years past, where IT would be this cost centre. Oh, okay, we need some computers. Yeah, I know they do things. So look, how much are they? Here's your budget to spend on computers and whatever this year, and don't go over it.
Yep.
Because it was just seen as like another tool to use.
Yes.
Now we're way past that, where we're saying, here is how IT can help your business become more efficient, become more productive, to help you grow and scale, to generate more revenue with less effort. It's now actually strategic.
It's not just the IT manager buying IT now. It's
all
of
everybody.
Right?
It's from every marketing person that puts a credit card down to get access to tools, to every operations person that goes and buys something they download off the internet to help a function go better and faster. All the stealth IT that happens. Even when you start pulling all that together and start looking at IT at a strategic point of view, when we're starting to see boards now looking at, okay, it's not just that we've got to throw so many dollars in to, buy some computers this year. No, we're going to invest in these strategic growth products that use technology. It all starts to come together. Therefore, in that respect, growing.
So finally, IT is becoming strategic in the customer base.
Excellent. Woo! Yay for us.
Yay for IT, I suppose. I'm not sure we were responsible for it, but we certainly tried. So that's cool. That's cool. So I get that.
Okay.
Number 5 is all about security, isn't it? So it's got to be security. We can't do a podcast without security, can we, Scott?
Let's talk about security. Well, we don't want to do a podcast without mentioning security somewhere. So security is now starting to become a lot more proactive at that cybersecurity level. And what we're saying is that, in the past you do some sort of tactical things. Yes, I've got antivirus. Yes, I've got a firewall. I put some controls in. Maybe I collect some logs and do whatever. Now organisations are going a lot further beyond that. And this is also because the issues they are protecting against left those previous issues behind many years ago.
Yep.
So you'll see organisations that are doing their own pen testing. In fact, one of our clients is doing a pen test this afternoon, we know about.
Absolutely. I've just seen some of the results of it.
Well, I hope it was good. Anyway, we won't go there. We're seeing organisations having their own internal red and blue teams. A red team is a group of people that actually goes and attacks their own infrastructure, trying to break into it, to find holes. And the blue teams are actually out there trying to prevent the red teams from succeeding.
It's kind of funny, isn't it? This was all in the strange world that was cybersecurity, but now it's like native within businesses, and that's so cool.
It is. It used to be that you would engage with a security company to go and do your pen test or do whatever, but a lot of this is even in the larger organisations with the individual teams, and it's been around for a while. Vulnerability scanning, we're seeing a lot more of that now. In fact, that's one of the new enhancements in the latest Essential 8 updates from July, that you need to be doing vulnerability scanning on your environment.
Across all the code bases we write, we run that automatically across our code bases in real time before we even ship anything. So it's far more mainstream than it ever used to be.
But it's interesting now that it's a key thing, and the vulnerability scanning vendors are all out there going, hey, we can do this, and they're becoming very popular.
No, absolutely.
So that's the first 5 points that have sort of come up there. And I guess the interesting thing is, when you think about your own businesses, how many of these things have actually been happening?
Well, it's funny. It's how many of these things are happening and how many of these things should happen. Yeah. So you need to, when you hear these, this is what, as a global industry, CompTIA are projecting that we'll be doing. And they seem pretty on the money to me, and they normally are.
They do. Now, look, it's unlikely you're going to have every item.
Yes.
But you should at least have 2 or 3 of those 5 at some level.
And if you're missing a lot, then maybe you need to rethink your technology priorities, right?
Could be, or maybe, it could be your business model is not one that has a lot of technology in it. But I can tell you there's not a lot of those business models these days. When many years ago, I met someone that was doing 25-year business plans. And I go, really? You haven't met the IT industry, have you? So
you're lucky to do a 1-year business plan at the moment.
Without revising it twice along the way. And I said, what, 25-year business plan? What are you in? He said, forestry. He said they build sustainable forests and that sort of thing. I thought, that's actually quite interesting. But even today, IoT devices doing soil temperatures, doing moisture controls, they're out there, and they're being put into environments that are measuring how well things are working. Yep. Do I need to add fertiliser? Oh, too much fertiliser over there. Lay back on that tomorrow. Oh, what's happening? It's the whole agricultural method of doing things using IoT now has completely changed.
Yeah, no, it has. Scott, that was fascinating, and I enjoyed that first half, and I'm looking forward to the second half. To everybody else, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you do like what you see, leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a comment about things you'd like us to discuss, or a question, or anything you want, and we'll try and answer it on the show. You can catch us here on YouTube, LinkedIn or Facebook, or you can listen to us on Spotify, audible.com, or wherever you get your favourite podcasts, including Apple Podcasts. So before I finish, just to prove it, I can touch Scott again, which is awesome. It's been months. We couldn't do that using StreamYard, but I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to catching up with you again very soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.